I used to believe love could shield us from the truth, that if the feeling was strong enough, if the connection was real enough, it could drown out the whispers, the doubts, the things we didn't want to see. But I was wrong. Love doesn't protect you, it exposes you. We were 24 days away from the wedding when it happened. Just over 3 weeks. I had the countdown on my phone. I used to glance at it each morning, like a reminder that something good was coming. That all the sacrifices, the long work nights, the saved money, the compromises, it would all be worth it when she walked down that aisle. Her name was Lila. We met 4 years ago at a friend's New Year's Eve party. She wore a green dress that didn't quite match the season, but it made her eyes glow. I remember the way she laughed, like she wasn't trying to impress anyone. It was effortless, magnetic. She leaned in close when she talked, like your words mattered. I fell hard. Our relationship wasn't perfect. I'd be lying if I said it was. But we made it work. We argued like anyone does. About the dishes, about how she spent too much time with her friends sometimes, about how I sometimes shut down when I was stressed. But nothing ever felt unfixable until it was. The message came in late on a Tuesday night. I had just gotten home from a client meeting. My phone buzzed in my jacket pocket. It was a text, unknown number. Don't marry her. Ask her what happened at her bachelorette party. You deserve the truth. That was it. No name, no punctuation even. Just that. I stared at the screen for a long time, my heart rate slowly climbing. I thought it was a prank. Some bitter ex of hers, maybe, or a mistake. But something about the wording. It felt deliberate, personal, measured. I didn't reply right away. I went upstairs, dropped my bag, sat on the edge of our bed. Lila was at her parents' place for the night, helping her mom plan the rehearsal dinner. I could have called her, asked her straight out, but I didn't. I didn't want to sound crazy. I needed to know who sent that text and why. The next day I texted back, "Who is this?" No answer. Not for hours. I went about my day, but the message festered in the back of my mind like a splinter. Around 6 p.m., I got another message. Meet me tomorrow at 4, corner of Wexford and Lake. Bring no one. Something told me to ignore it, that this was going to spiral into something I couldn't control. But I showed up anyway. Curiosity can be louder than reason. The man was already there when I arrived, sitting on the bench by the old record store. He looked up as I approached, and I recognized him instantly. Ethan Lawson. We went to college together, not close friends, but familiar enough. He was 2 years ahead of me, part of Lila's extended social circle back then. I hadn't seen him in years. I stopped a few feet from him. "This you?" I asked, holding up my phone. He nodded. I crossed my arms. "What is this? Some kind of joke?" "No joke," he said, his voice low. "You need to see something." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out his phone, tapped a few buttons, then handed it to me. A video was queued up. I didn't want to press play, but I did. The video started in a dimly lit room, music, laughter, the kind of environment you'd expect at a wild bachelorette party. The angle was low, like it had been recorded secretly. The room came into focus, couches, balloons, drinks everywhere. And then I saw her, Lila, sitting on a guy's lap, laughing, kissing him. Not a peck. Her hands were in his hair, his on her waist. Someone in the background shouted something and she giggled, pulled away just long enough to whisper something in his ear before the video cut. I stared at the screen for a full minute, hoping somehow that it wasn't her, that it was a look-alike, a prank, deepfake maybe, but it was her. I knew the shape of her hands, the curve of her jaw, the small birthmark near her collarbone. That was Lila, no doubt. I handed the phone back in silence. Ethan looked at me like he wanted to apologize, but he didn't. "It wasn't just that night," he said. "She's been messaging him since. I know because he bragged about it to a few of us. I didn't want to get involved, but man, I couldn't let you walk into this blind." I didn't say thank you. I didn't say anything. I just nodded, turned around, and walked away. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, playing the video over in my mind. The way she laughed, the casualness of it all. It wasn't a drunken mistake. It was something else. Something colder. She called the next morning, cheerful, told me about the floral arrangements her mom was obsessed with, asked if I wanted Thai food for dinner. I said I had work late, that I'd sleep at the office. I didn't go to work. I drove 2 hours out of town and parked by an old lake I used to visit when I was a teenager. I sat on the hood of my car and listened to nothing. I didn't feel rage. Not at first, just emptiness. A kind of quiet that scared me more than anything. Because I realized in that moment, I didn't want to fix it. I didn't want an explanation. I didn't want to hear why or how or whether it meant anything. I just wanted out. The next few days, I drifted. I answered texts with one-word replies. Told her I was stressed. Wedding stuff. Work. She bought it. She always did. She believed in me more than I believed in myself sometimes, which made it worse. Then, I made the decision. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to fight. I wasn't even going to tell her why. I was going to disappear. Not in the dramatic vanish off the grid kind of way. Just step out of the life we were building before it became permanent. I canceled the venue, lost the deposit. I emailed the vendors. I told my best man the wedding was off, but didn't explain. He didn't ask. Maybe he knew. I packed a bag one morning while she was at a bridal fitting, left my ring on the nightstand, and I walked out of that apartment like it was a stranger's home. Her texts came in waves, at first casual, then confused, then panicked. Where are you? Babe, are you okay? Why aren't you answering me? Please, I'm scared. Then, finally, what did you hear? That one hit different, because it told me everything I needed to know. She knew. I stayed off the grid for the first 2 days after I left. No calls, no social media. No one knew where I went. I turned off my phone and threw it in the glove compartment like it was burning my hand. I found a small, cheap motel 2 towns over. One of those places with flickering lights and humming vending machines. It was perfect, empty, anonymous. A place people went when they didn't want to be found. I stared at the cracked ceiling for hours, trying to understand how it all unraveled so fast. Just a week ago, I was practicing my vows. Now I was a ghost in my own life. On the third day, I turned the phone back on. 97 missed messages, 12 voicemails. 7 calls from her mother, 1 from her father. My stomach sank as the screen lit up with notification after notification. I didn't open them. I just sat on the edge of the motel bed and watched them come in, one after another until the screen went silent again. That silence felt heavier than anything else. Eventually, curiosity cracked through the quiet. I tapped the first voicemail. Lila's voice filled the room, frantic and breaking. Please, please, just talk to me. I don't know what you heard, but it's not what you think, I swear. We need to talk. I'm losing my mind here. I listened to a few more. Her voice changed with each one, first desperate, then angry, then numb. Her last message was just breathing in a soft, I love you. I didn't mean to hurt you. Then came the texts. I know you're hurting. I deserve it. I should have told you what happened instead of letting you find out this way. So it's true, I whispered to no one. She knew. And still, she hadn't said a word. No confession, no apology until after I vanished. I scrolled further. It was stupid. It was one night. I was drunk. Didn't mean anything. Another. I thought it was harmless. It was just a kiss. I didn't sleep with him. I swear I kept reading, numb. He was someone I used to know. It didn't mean anything. I was stupid. I thought it wouldn't matter. It was before we were married. That one made my chest tighten, like a door slamming shut in my ribs. Before we were married. As if vows only start when the rings go on. As if love has a waiting period. Like everything we built before the ceremony didn't count. I didn't reply. I just turned off the phone again. The next morning, someone knocked on my motel door. I froze. No one knew where I was. The knock came again, slower this time. A pause, then a voice. Eric, it's me. Please open the door. Lila. I didn't move. I sat in the chair by the window and stared at the curtain. The morning light leaked in through a tear in the fabric. The sound of her breathing outside the door hit me like a wave. She didn't knock again. She just stood there, waiting. "Please," she said, barely a whisper now. "I didn't know how to find you. Your friend Jason told me you used to come out here. I've been driving around for hours." Still, I didn't move. "I messed up," she said, voice breaking. "I messed up so bad. I know you hate me, but please let me explain. I need you to hear me." I finally stood, took 2 steps toward the door. My hand hovered over the knob. I could hear her crying softly on the other side, and still, I didn't open it, because I knew what would happen. She'd cry, I'd soften, she'd beg, I'd listen. We'd talk, argue, talk again. She'd say it didn't mean anything, that it was just one night, that we'd been tired, distant, caught up in the wedding stress, and I'd want to believe her. I would, because I loved her. But love isn't armor, and some wounds don't heal clean. I walked back to the bed and sat down. The silence from me must have said it all. I heard her sob once, then footsteps fading down the corridor. I didn't cry. I wanted to, but I didn't have anything left. Later that day, I turned the phone back on, a new message from her. I waited for hours in the car, just hoping. "I don't even know if you were in there." Then another. "My mom said we should cancel everything." I told her I'm not ready to do that yet. More messages followed over the next few days, all from her, her mom, her sister, even a couple of her friends. "Whatever happened, it's between the two of you. You've been together for 4 years. Don't throw it away over a mistake. You're both hurting. That's what matters now. Fixing it. She loves you. She's shattered." It was like they were all reading from the same script, like her betrayal was a bad scene in a good story, something we could skip over with a bit of editing. But it wasn't a scene. It was the truth. And the truth doesn't care about how long you've been together. It doesn't care how much you loved someone or what you thought they'd never do. The truth is blunt, cold, unforgiving. A week after I disappeared, I called my dad. He didn't say, "I told you so." He just asked if I was okay. I said I was trying to be. He asked if I wanted to come home for a while. I said maybe. That night, I drove 3 hours north and stayed at his cabin by the lake. I used to go there every summer as a kid. It was the kind of place where the only sounds were birds and the wind in the trees. I brought a notebook with me, tried to write things down, tried to make sense of it all. But every time I picked up the pen, my hand froze. Because what do you write about when the future you spent years building dissolves in one night? 10 days passed before I finally texted her back. "I got the video." Her reply came within seconds. "I'm so sorry. I can't undo what happened, but I'll do anything to make it right. Please. Just meet me. One time. That's all I'm asking." I stared at the screen for a long time, and then, against my better judgment, I said yes. We met at a quiet diner 2 towns over, one of those places with cracked booths and the smell of stale coffee. I sat in the far corner. She walked in wearing a hoodie and jeans, no makeup, hair pulled back. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. She sat down across from me and didn't speak right away, just stared at the table. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Start with the truth," I said. And she did. Not all of it. Not in the way I wanted, but enough. She told me about the bachelorette party, about the drinks, about the guy, someone she used to flirt with in college. Said it felt like a joke at first, but then she kissed him. Said she felt guilty right after. That she cried the next day. That she swore she'd never see him again. But she had. Once, 2 weeks later. "To clear the air," she said. That meeting turned into something else. She swore nothing physical happened, but at that point, it didn't matter. "You planned a meeting," I said, "after it already happened. That's not guilt. That's control." She didn't deny it. Her eyes were swollen, her hands trembling. "I didn't think I'd lose you," she said. I thought I could bury it. That we'd be okay." That was the real betrayal. Not the kiss. Not even the lie. It was that she made the choice for me. Decided what I deserved to know. Decided what I could handle. Decided to move forward like nothing happened. I stood up. "I'm not angry anymore," I said quietly, "but I'm done." She blinked like I'd slapped her. "I love you," she whispered. "Doesn't that mean anything?" It used to. I walked out without another word. Outside, the wind was sharp and cold. I stood in the parking lot, breathing in the air like I was trying to remember what it felt like to be whole. I didn't look back, because if I had, I might have stayed, and staying would have broken me in ways betrayal never could. Of course. Here's part 3 of the story, continuing the raw, realistic tone and maintaining YouTube monetization-friendly guidelines. The emotional fallout deepens, and the final threads are tied. I didn't drive home that night. I didn't even know where home was anymore. The place I used to call home felt like a memory someone else lived in. The apartment, the plans, the closet where her clothes still hung next to mine. All of it felt foreign now, like walking through a dream that suddenly turned cruel. I drove back to the cabin instead, sat on the porch with a blanket wrapped around my shoulders and a thermos of coffee that had long gone cold. The stars above felt too distant to offer comfort. They just watched silently while I tried to piece together who I was now. The next morning, I had 2 messages waiting on my phone. One from her, one from her father. Her message was short. "I won't bother you anymore, but I'll always love you, and I'll never stop being sorry." His was longer. "Eric, I know this isn't my place, but I raised Lila to be better than this. I'm ashamed of her, but I'm also begging you to reconsider. Not for her, for yourself. Because I know what you had. It was real. And real things deserve a second look." I didn't respond to either one. I appreciated his honesty, even his humility. But what he didn't understand was this. Love without respect is just noise. And I wasn't going to drown in it. A week passed, then 2. I didn't count the days, but I felt them settle in my bones. The wedding venue called to confirm the cancellation. The florist wanted to know what to do with the order. My sister told me the gifts had started arriving already, and that she'd send them back for me. Everything we built was being dismantled in silence. I went back to work eventually, kept my head down. No one at the office asked questions, but they all knew. News like that spreads fast in quiet ways. Whispers in hallways, pauses in conversations, sympathy that never quite reaches your eyes. I avoided most people, ate lunch alone, stayed late, just to avoid the awkward goodbyes. My coworkers offered nods of understanding, which I returned with half smiles and tired eyes. One Friday afternoon, nearly a month after everything fell apart, I got another message. This time, it wasn't from Lila. It was from Hannah, her younger sister. "I don't want to make things worse, but she's not doing well. I know she hurt you, but she's not pretending she didn't. She talks about you every day. She hasn't left the house in a week." I stared at the message for a long time, then turned the phone face down. It's strange how guilt works. Even when you've done nothing wrong, it tries to live in your skin. It whispers, "Maybe you were too cold. Maybe you didn't give her a chance. Maybe love is supposed to hurt sometimes." But I'd spent weeks wrestling with that voice, and I'd come out the other side with something I hadn't had before. Clarity. The truth was, I had already forgiven her. I forgave her the moment I walked out of that diner. But forgiveness isn't a door back into someone's life. It's a way to close your own. It was late October when I saw her again. Not in person. Just by chance, while scrolling through social media. A friend of a friend had posted a group photo from a small birthday gathering. She was there, sitting at the edge of the table, smiling, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. The caption didn't mention her, but I recognized the sweater. I'd bought it for her last Christmas. For a moment, I felt that old ache rise up again, that want to reach out, to see how she was doing, to check on her the way I used to. But I didn't. Some doors close softly, others slam. Ours had done both. A few days later, I got a call from her mother. I almost didn't pick up, but something in me said it was time. Her voice was softer than I remembered. Tired. Not angry or pleading, just quiet. She's leaving town, she said. She needs to start over. I just thought you should know. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Thank you, I said. She still loves you. I know. She wanted to say goodbye in person. That hung in the air for a long time. I could have said no, could have ended it there. But part of me needed to see her one last time. Not for closure, I already had that, but for peace. We met at the park, the one where we used to take long walks on Sunday mornings, where she once told me she wanted 3 kids, where we picked names and argued about middle names, where we laughed without realizing how rare that kind of love was. She stood by the old wooden bench, wrapped in a scarf, her hair tied back like it was that first night we met. Her eyes looked older now, wiser maybe, or just worn down. Hi, she said. Hey, we sat. I didn't think you'd come, she said. I wasn't sure I would. A breeze moved between us. Leaves scraped along the sidewalk. I'm not here to change your mind, she said after a while. I know it's over. I just wanted to say goodbye in a way that felt real. I nodded. I loved you more than anything, I said. Her eyes filled, but she didn't look away. I loved you too. And that's why I can't do this, I continued. Because if I stay, we both keep bleeding. Quietly, slowly. Pretending it can be fixed when we both know it can't. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. I know. We sat in silence after that. Not awkward, not tense. Just still. Like 2 people who once shared everything, now sharing nothing but the cold bench and a memory of what could have been. She stood first. I hope you find someone who loves you the way I should have, she said. I hope you find yourself, I replied. That made her cry, just a little. She didn't try to hug me, didn't ask for anything, just turned and walked away. I sat there long after she disappeared from view. There was no dramatic ending, no final twist. Just a quiet goodbye between 2 people who once thought they'd have forever. Sometimes the hardest part isn't the betrayal. It's what comes after. The hollow space where love used to live, the echo of laughter in places that now feel haunted. But healing isn't loud. It's not fast or clean. It's slow, uneven. And sometimes you don't notice it until one day you wake up and the weight in your chest feels a little lighter. I moved out of the apartment 2 months later, took a job in a different city. Not to run, but to begin again. Somewhere new, somewhere without shadows. Every now and then, I think of her, of who we were, of who we tried to be. But I don't hate her, and I don't regret loving her. I just finally understand that loving someone doesn't mean you should stay. Sometimes it means letting go with dignity, with grace, with the quiet strength to say, this was love, and now it's over, and that has to be enough. And that has